What's good, everyone? Thank you for stopping by to visit the channel for this upcoming game preview. If you want to hear a different take of college football from an analytical perspective, if you haven't done so already, pound that subscribe button, click the notification bell, and select all so you won't miss another video. Also, like the video, it helps the channel grow, and give me your score prediction in the comment section below, even if you agree or disagree. Folks, it is time. Alabama versus Georgia in the SEC championship game in Atlanta, Georgia this Saturday. 3 p.m. Central Time on CBS, with Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson on the call as per usual. Georgia is looking to exercise their Crimson Demon once and for all, and the Bulldogs may have the team to do it this time around. Alabama is playing for a spot in the playoff and notch another SEC championship. If they win, they're definitely in. Let's kick things off. Georgia is coming into this game as a huge favorite. They opened up as a 4.5-point favorite against the Crimson Tide, which is no small task, and it has gone up to 6.5 at the time of recording. The advanced metrics show Georgia doesn't just have the best defense in the country, but the second-ranked offense, which is unheard of. SP Plus has the Bulldogs as a 7-point favorite with a 67% win probability since it's a neutral site. Some Alabama fans are calling this one as the scare in Jordan Hare, and it was definitely a scare. Alabama was down their number one wide receiver in the first half. They made changes to their offensive line in the second half, and they were down to their fourth string running back. Not to mention the countless penalties. Quick side note, I don't think anybody can say Alabama gets all the calls after what they went through this past weekend in Jordan Hare. And there were a ton of drop passes they had in that game. For about 55 minutes, Alabama was shooting themselves in the foot. They couldn't do anything on offense. The advanced box score tells this game better than I could. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't protect Bryce Young. And yet they found a way to win. The much maligned Alabama defense, once again, over the last few weeks, saved their bacon. The defense has caught a lot of heat, maybe because they're not living up to the godly expectations that were set this season, but they've played pretty well on that side of the ball since the bye week. Red alert, red alert. George Pickens caught one pass, so he is medically cleared to go. And for the first time in, well, forever, Georgia is about 90% of the team the pundits thought they would be on offense throughout the season. Georgia Tech had zero shot in this game. 35% of the game was in garbage time, and Georgia, in all seriousness, treated this game as if it was a passing scrimmage, and Stetson Bennett looked good through the air. We all know about the defense. They held Georgia Tech to a 100% stop rate for the game. When Alabama has the ball, if you were to review the Crimson Tide offense before the bye week, they were up there with Ohio State's offense from a success rate standpoint and an EPA standpoint. The production has drastically dipped. Part of that is because the production of the offensive line has fallen off. Their offensive line was in the top 10 in offensive line yards, and as you can see, they're 64th. That's not good, especially when you're going up against arguably the best defense in college football and a talented defensive line in Georgia. Jordan Davis gets all the hype, but I believe Jalen Carter is probably their best guy up front. Nakobe Dean and Nolan Smith are problems, and another underrated linebacker, Channing Tindall, could start for most SEC defenses. Alabama is coming into this game banged up at running back, so the running game may not be a factor for them. They're down to their fourth string guy in Trey Sanders, who is coming off a horrific injury from a car accident that would sideline most football players. I'm not certain that Brian Robinson is going to be ready to go, so it looks like Bryce Young is going to throw the football 50 times, and that Georgia secondary and pass rush is going to be ready. When Georgia has the ball, if you were thinking Georgia would have a sizable advantage against a Pete Golding coach Alabama defense, you're in for a surprise. Alabama's defense is better than what their fans give credit for. When Alabama is playing assignment football and everyone is on the same page, it's a chore to get a positive play against them. It is when one guy is out of position or doesn't get the play call. It is when they have busts, especially in the secondary. Will Anderson gets all the headlines, and deservedly so. And I will not under any circumstances compare him to Derek Thomas. That's blasphemous. I'm not going to entertain it. With all due respect to the late, great Derek Thomas, I just can't bring myself to do it. Alabama is giving up 61% of their opponent's rushing averages this season. To compare, Georgia's defense is at 55%. So don't sleep on a Crimson Tide rush D. It will be strength versus strength on this end. The Georgia offensive line must win their fair share of battles and end up with a stalemate or have a slight edge by the end of the game. Stetson Bennett has improved his game this season, but there will always be that nagging question from his fans. Is he good enough to win a championship? Will they see JT Daniels at some point in the game? They may not have to, actually, because if Bennett is playing efficient football and he can make those throws against Alabama's secondary, the Georgia offense will be more than fine. Another item to note, the Georgia offense is number 1 in the country in third quarter offense, and that is usually when they take the game over. But on the other side, Alabama is second in the country in third quarter defense, so the halftime adjustments will be a critical factor in this game. If this is your first time stopping by, I have a rating system that replaced my computer model for the last few years. My rating system is based on the principles of ELO, and it is structured by the point differential of the average college football team. As to what goes on into the system, it's rating recruiting averages, returning production, recent ranking history, and so on. So these ratings are different from the tail of the tape where I used SP+. So it is strength versus strength when you compare the respective teams on both sides of the ball. The model has Georgia winning by an estimated score of 30-22 with a 67% win probability. All right, so it's prediction time. So Alabama, by their lofty standards, is a huge underdog. And everyone will be tuning into this game because, let's be honest, when Alabama is in danger of losing a game, everyone wants to watch. When I compare these two teams, I try to look at the matchups and see if there's a way for the underdog to pull off an upset. On paper, and from what I've seen in the last few weeks, I'm not certain if Alabama can march up and down the field against Georgia's defense, especially if they can't seem to generate a push up front, and that is going to force Alabama to be one-dimensional and lean on Bryce Young to essentially play the game of his life. We have not seen a quarterback all season long make those tight throws against Georgia's defense. Bryce Young is more than capable. Georgia has played more zone this year, and you wonder if there are any special wrinkles they'll have for this game because, let's be honest, over the last few weeks, I don't think they put in a lot of prep work against Charleston Southern and Georgia Tech. So I wouldn't be shocked if they used those 2 weeks just to prep for Alabama. Now, speaking of wrinkles, I have yet to see the Alabama coaching staff counter with anything the defense has given them lately. Teams are lining up with 8 in the box, blitzing from all angles. Bryce Young is checking off to different plays pre-snap. Clock's winding down, and it gets to a point where the ball has to be snapped with either 2 seconds or 1 second left. At that point, the defense can time the snap. And that leads to the offense being confused and disjointed. And you don't want to be neither against this Georgia defense. If Alabama were to have a shot here, they need to play the level of defense Clemson played against Georgia in week 1. If there is a defensive comparison, Clemson is right there, as both teams are in the top 10 in defensive success rate. And you also have the mental factor in this game. Alabama's playing with nothing to lose. They're going to hear they have no chance, that they shouldn't show up. Georgia's a team of destiny. They're the new Alabama. And they're going to hear all of that. And I think Georgia might come in this game a little tight. Since it's technically a home game, the Georgia fans want this one bad. And they're already talking blowout. Georgia fans, don't be fooled by what you saw last week. We have a tendency to do this in college football. We proclaim a team as invincible 1 week or all season. And then what happens next? They pick the worst time to play their worst game. I've seen this happen too many times. College football is a fickle sport. Just when you think you got it figured out, and your team is going to run roughshod over someone after how they looked last week, you end up getting it wrong. It is a stupid sport, and it can humble the most confident fan bases. My brain is telling me Alabama is going to come into this game, and they're going to struggle against Georgia's defense. The Alabama defense will fight hard in this game, but in the end, Georgia will find a way to pull it off to the score of 24-17, and they'll finally get theirs over the team that has been a thorn in their side for years. And with that being said, that is a wrap for another preview. Let me know what your thoughts are in the game in the comment section below. Give me your score prediction and tell me why your respective team is going to win the game. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give the video a like, and if you love college football as much as I do, Hit the subscribe button if you want to stay updated with the latest previews and the occasional highlights. And as always, thank you for watching and thank you for visiting the channel.